Melvin Davis.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker, tuatahi māku e tāpiri o oku mihi ki wera o ngā rangatira mai i Tuwharetoa, mai i Raukawa, mai i te Arawa, i tātu mai ki raro te tuanui o tēnei whare. Hei whakarongo ki wenei whai kōrero e pāna ki tēnei pire, nā reira tēnā rā koutou. Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure to contribute in the second reading of the Ngati Tuwharetoa, Raukawa and Te Arawa River Iwi Waikato River Bill. The Waikato River begins at Te Waiheke or Hooker Falls, where there is a point that Ngati Tuwharetoa know as Te Tokaatia. The river flows north through the Waikato to Te Puahaua Waikato, or the mouth of the Waikato River. This bill relates to the upper reaches of the Waikato from Karapiro. The iwi that this bill relates to are Ngati Tuwharetoa, who are represented by the Tuwharetoa Māori Trust Board, Raukawa, meaning those individuals who descend from Raukawa marae in the Waikato area, and Te Arawa River iwi, in particular Ngati Tahu, Ngati Whaoa, Ngati Kearoa, Ngati Tuara, and Tūhaurangi, Ngati Wahiao. It's appropriate to acknowledge that this bill is the sister act to the previous bill, the Waikato Tainui Raupatu Claims Waikato River Settlement Act 2010. Especially in that that act established the co-governance arrangements of the river and has the overriding purpose of restoring the health and well-being of the Waikato River. It established the Waikato River Authority, and that river authority has membership comprised of one member each from Waikato Raupatu River Trust, Te Arawa River Iwi Trust, Tuwharetoa Māori Trust Board, Raukawa Settlement Trust, the Maniapoto Māori Trust, as well as members appointed by the Minister in consultation with the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Local Government on the recommendation of the Council, another one on the recommended by the territorial authorities, and 3 members appointed by the Minister in consultation with the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Māori Affairs. Altogether there are 10 members on that board, 5 iwi representatives and 5 who are appointed by the Minister. That authority, the Waikato River Authority, is the organisation charged with fulfilling the purpose of this bill, as well as the bill, the Waikato Tainui Raupatu Claims Settlement Act. That purpose is described succinctly in Part 1 of this bill, and that is to restore and protect the health and well-being of the Waikato River for present and future generations. That's an admirable overarching purpose and will ensure that future generations of Māori, alongside their non-Māori neighbours, will be able to play, swim, gather food and enjoy a healthy river free as far as is possible from the devastating effects of 150 years or so of the dumping of domestic, commercial, agricultural waste such as herbicides, pesticides and fertiliser. Mr. Speaker, because of the similarities of this bill to the Waikato Tainui Raupatu Claims Settlement Act, I just want to raise a few points made in the third reading of that bill by the ACT Party. And I just have to acknowledge that the Honourable Rodney Hyde did apologise for the comments he made in the reading of the third reading of that bill. Although, and I was thinking, he's taken a bit of wind out of my sails, but I thought, no, I'm still going to say what I've got to say, because in that bill he referred to the hocus pocus, that the House was legislating hocus pocus based on Māori beliefs. And Mr. Speaker, I found that offensive, and I thought, well, should I let it go or not tonight, since he has apologised? But the reality is that there are other members of the community in New Zealand who will share his views and don't believe that his apology would be justified. Also, forever and a day in the Hansard, it's going to be recorded that Rodney Hyde, the ACT Party, believes that this type of legislation is hocus pocus and that we're legislating hocus pocus. And Mr. Speaker, I found that offensive at the time, and I'm glad for the opportunity now to rebut that. David Garrett, at the time, he quoted the deed of settlement which said, yeah, David who? The river is a metaphysical being with its own Māori. The concept of Māori life force will, in our view, have little significance to most Māori who, according to census figures, are mostly Christian. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'm pretty tolerant of most opinions, but there's one thing that does get under my skin, and that's when somebody of another cultural or another ethnicity tries to tell Māori what we must be thinking or feeling based on his own narrow perspective of the world. Mr. Speaker, one of the great things about being a New Zealander who is able to straddle both the Māori world and the Pākehā world is that I can see that two opposing worldviews can exist quite happily. It's not confusing for me. Just as, to use an example, in English we would say, I'm travelling up north. The literal translation in Māori would say, I'm travelling down north. And the fact is, it doesn't have to be explained. To me, that's just the way it is. The opposing perspectives can quite happily be accommodated with an open mind and by somebody who's grounded in what it means to walk on two paths in 21st century New Zealand. And if someone is unable to walk comfortably along those dual or multicultural paths, well, that's fine. I accept their position, just as long as they don't fall back on their own ignorance to belittle another cultural perspective. The ACT Party also lamented that the Crown is giving half of the control of the Waikato River and its surrounding land to 5 iwi. And my question is, so what? Their attitude smacks of the colonial view that the natives are getting uppity. Māori simply are having a say in the management and governance of a resource that was taken, unjustifiably taken out of their control. And I say it's about time that we have this sort of legislation that returns, that enables Māori to have a say in the way their resources are used. Those 5 iwi, along with the other members of the Waikato River Authority, are committed to restoring the well-being and health of the Waikato River for this and future generations. That cannot be a bad thing, except if you belong to a particular group who has for 150 years or so become accustomed to the unbridled power that 100% control gave them, even if now we are suffering the effects and the mess that that unbridled power produced. Mr. Speaker, I welcome the fact that this bill transfers governance of the Waikato River away from a system that favoured the interests of a few to a system that shares power and benefits both the river and future generations of Māori, Pākehā and all the other ethnicities that have made Aotearoa their home. The Honourable Rodney Hyde told us when we debated the last Waikato River Settlement Bill, quote, well, I have to say that it is a very, very sad day for the people of Waikato and the people of New Zealand. What we will now have is the Waikato River Authority, and it will be made up of people who are not elected from that community. Again, Mr. Speaker, I say the ACT Party fall back on their own cultural norms to justify their angst at their ilk losing their grip on power. No, the iwi representatives may not be elected in a way that satisfies Mr. Hyde and company, but those iwi members will be selected in a manner appropriate to the iwi they represent, and that is what is important. It's important that the Waikato River Authority is there to ensure the well-being and the health of the Waikato River so that all New Zealanders may enjoy the benefits that river can give to us. Mr. Speaker, other members have spoken about some of the issues that the Māori Affairs Select Committee came across, such as the Ngati Kahukura. They wanted to have representation on the Waikato River Authority, and they said that submitted that the Federated Farmers also have a member to take the total membership up to 12. And as a committee, we believe that the best way, the most effective membership of that committee, of that river authority, will be 10 members. Mr. Speaker,